The U.S. Catholic Catechism for Adults, great book, especially for teaching with RCIA or OCIA, has a chapter in there on baptism. And the chapter begins with a story of an Irish spy. His name was John Boyle O'Reilly, and the setting is about 1860. And at the time, the Protestant British were oppressing the Catholic Irish, and the Irish were seeking independence. And so John Boyle joined the British Army as a spy, so he could tell his buddies what's going on or what the plans are. Unfortunately, he was discovered, and so he's brought to trial and sentenced to 20 years in prison and sent to the British prisons in Australia. And somehow he escaped from prison, and he made his way to the United States and ended up in Boston. And he was highly educated. His parents were both teachers, and so he got a job with the newspaper, the Boston Pilot, as a reporter. And the Boston Pilot, just like our Gulf Pine Catholic, it's the diocesan newspaper. So that was the diocesan newspaper up in Boston. And he eventually worked his way up to be the editor of the Boston Pilot. And he used his talents and skills to bridge the gap between very dispersed groups. So the Protestants in Boston and the Catholics, he bridged the gap to bring them together. And he was a very good speaker and sought after to speak, a very good writer, did poems and also literature and things. And he also brought together the immigrants, the Irish immigrants, who are a different culture than the Bostonian culture, and he brought those two together. He worked hard with black and white to bring that culture together, and even American Indian. And when he died, there was great mourning. I mean, he was there at the Boston Pilot, I think, for 20 years. And when he died, there was tremendous mourning. Thousands of people came to his funeral because he was a real light of Christ, living up to his baptismal promises, bringing unity to people that were very, very different. Today's readings that we had are about unity. And not only unity, but also a very big lack of unity in our first reading. So our first reading, St. Paul has returned from his third missionary journey. He's come back to Jerusalem. He goes to the temple area, and he's evangelizing. And the Jews there just get fed up with him, a group of Jews there, and they're ready to kill him. And a Roman tribune, we could think of some high-ranking Roman officer, sees what's going on, and he sends in the troops to save St. Paul from they're trying to kill him or something. And St. Paul says, well, let me talk to the crowd. And so the Romans don't understand what's going on and what the discussion is. And so St. Paul very sincerely gives his conversion story, how he went from persecutor of the Christians to having the light and the transition, and he became the apostle to the Gentiles. And they listened to it all, and they had their responses, rid the earth of this man. He's not fit to live. And so they're all upset and they want to kill him. And the Romans still don't know what's going on. So the Romans pull him back and they say, convene your Sanhedrin. So the Sanhedrin's the big Supreme Court in Israel, the same one that 25 years earlier had condemned Jesus. And so the next morning, they're convening, they're there, and St. Paul's turn to talk. And in a stroke of genius, he realizes the division that exists in the Jews. And he exploits that. He says, the reason I'm here is because I believe in the resurrection. The whole time knowing that's going to cause an emotional explosion between the Sadducees, who didn't believe in the resurrection, and the Pharisees, who did. And so the Pharisees are saying, we've made a mistake, let this man free. And the Sadducees said, kill him right now, just kill him on the spot, this is ridiculous. So you can see where there's division, there's lots of chaos and there's lots of problems. Overall, though, St. Paul, in his missionary journeys, he brought Gentile Christians and Jewish Christians together in unity. And that was a big, incredible thing he did. He brought a lot of unity to the church. And then our gospel, Jesus it's at the Last Supper, and it's the priestly prayer at the Last Supper. And he's asking God to make everybody one. So he's talking to his disciples. And he's saying, God, let them share the wonder that we have in the Trinity, the unity we have in Trinity. Please share it with them so our disciples can all be one with us. It's a beautiful thing. And then we heard in the gospel acclamation, Jesus says, may they all be one, as you, Father, and I are one. And in the gospel it says, I pray for these so that they might be one, as Father and Jesus are one. And I have given them, he's talking about the disciples in the church, the glory you gave me so that they may be one. So Jesus is really pushing this oneness. But what he's really saying is I want to share the essence of the Trinity, the beauty, the power, the love that's in the Trinity with them. I want them to be united with us in the Trinity. It's like, oh my gosh, how wonderful is that? And so this Sunday we're going to celebrate Pentecost, the coming of the Holy Spirit, and which brings unity. And we should work for unity among the people that we know, just like St. Paul did with the Gentiles and the Jews, and just as John Boyle O'Reilly did between the different groups that were prejudiced in his time.